have an About Me profile that you give to your child's teachers in the fall, right? The beginning of the year. You want them to know more about your child. The problem is teachers are real busy at the beginning of the year, right? And that About Me profile probably gets read once and then forgotten. And I thought, oh, I have a solution for this problem. Let's just keep giving these About Me profiles to the teachers more often during the year and not just in August or September. So I thought, like, when you have parent teacher conferences, that could be like your reminder. Pull out this About Me profile and have them read it. Or when you get progress reports, it's, yes, my reminder to share my About Me profile. The problem with that solution I came up with is there was a bigger problem that I hadn't even realized. And that bigger problem was these About Me profiles that we've been using and sharing don't connect the dots, aren't related to what's written in your child's IEP. Now, I bet you've experienced something like this. I know as a parent and an advocate, I sure have. So you're excited. It's the beginning of the IEP meeting. You want to be positive and let's start with strengths. And it's like you're sharing all these things about your child, what lights them up, and what really works at school. And you kind of look around the table and a few people are smiling and a couple of people are like nodding their head while you're talking. And yet no one is writing any of this down. It's who is capturing these gold nuggets? And people don't see the value of what you just shared. So today I'm going to be demoing a custom GPT that I wrote for parents. And I want you to see the possibilities that exist. So stay tuned. Now, this custom GPT that I built over a year ago, the first use I thought of it was so many parents are using AI now. Raise your hand if you use AI or let me know in the comments. And parents are really disappointed because they ask, like, how do I modify this assignment for my daughter or something? And the AI tool just comes back with these generic kind of responses. And so I thought we have to season when we use AI tools. And I thought would help ChatGPT know more about your child as a whole person, as a learner. And then when you use ChatGPT for some school related thing, your AI tool knows so much more about your child and you'll get more personalized responses. So, anyway, so that's when I developed my tool, which I was calling This Is Me. So, that was a really helpful tool to help season AI. But then that little voice kept playing in my head and said, Charmaine, yes, you've made an AI tool that's helpful, but this still does not connect to the IEP, right? It's still this standalone document or input. And so recently I've carved out some time to make improvements. We like improvements. So I'm going to introduce you today. Let's see. To This Is Me version 2.0. And so what we'll be doing is I'll be going through demonstrating how to use it, what kind of output you get. And then near the end of the video or live show, I want you to decide. Would you love to give my new custom GPT a test run? Work with it, play with it, give me feedback, ideas how I could improve it. So if that interests you, stay tuned because I'll be talking about that in a little bit. But first, let's go to the demo. So we're going to click here to get started. Oh, and the other thing is all you need is a free ChatGPT account. You don't even need a paid account to use this. So anyway, click here to get started. So it says, welcome. We'll build a clear, strength-based snapshot of your child, how they learn, what they're great at, what helps. I'll ask one question at a time. You can pause anytime. You'll also get example language for key IEP sections, like that could go for present levels, goals, accommodations, modifications, instructional strategies. So the first question is, what grade is your child in? So I'm going to say 6. And now, how do you feel or how do they feel about school right now? Do they enjoy it, dislike it, mixed feelings? So the other thing I was going to show you is you can type in this box your answer. The thing that I like to use more often is the microphone. So it's the speech to text. So I'm going to click on the microphone when I answer this question. And I'm going to say, most days my child is up and ready and happy to go to school. I noticed on Wednesdays and Fridays when there's PE, it's like really a struggle to drag them out of bed. So when you're done talking, speaking your answer, you click on the arrow or the check mark. Do you use the voice tool at all? And then here's your text of what you said, and then click on that arrow. And so now this is me GPT says, got it. So they summarize what you said. Now, sometimes they'll ask you follow-up questions and you can answer those, or you can say, skip it. It says, what is it about PE days that seem the toughest? Changing clothes, locker rooms, sensory stuff, performance pressure, social dynamics, physical discomfort, or something else? So one of the things that I like with this tool, and you see this a lot when you're working with ChatGPT or other tools, is that it will help kind of give you some ideas. So instead of just be like, I don't know. And like I said, some of these follow-up questions, you can decide if you want to answer them or not. But anyway, so I would use the microphone again, and I would say, click on the microphone, and I would say, I really think it's the sensory stuff in that gym. It just echoes the noise. Yeah, so I think it's really about the noise level in the gym. Click on the check mark and click on the arrow. Okay, now see, it's going to get more and more into the gym situation, and you can go deeper. But for the demo today, I don't want to keep talking about gym. So I'm just going to, you can type or talk. I'm going to say, skip this question. Okay, so far, this is what they have. Now, question 5 is, what are your child's biggest strengths at school or home? And again, they'll give you some ideas here. So I'm gonna use my microphone and I'll say he loves like working in a small group and not so much one on one with a classmate, but like I don't know, like a group of about 4 kids. Seems like that seems to be his sweet spot. He learns so much from videos and then can apply it when, there's class discussions. So, yeah, if there's any kind of video about the historical event or something like that would really help him. The other thing is just to he really watches other people and watches his classmates, how they do things. And then he feels comfortable and then he'll try it. But being able to see his classmates do something first, like that has really made a difference for him. So again, you can go on and on. So now again, it's going to get this and summarize. So there are a number of questions that chat will ask you, and sometimes uh, this is a bother, but really, if you can spend some time, because the more individualized input you give the tool, the better it's going to know your child. So these are the different categories of the questions, and then I'm going to show you what a complete example looks like and not go through each and every question. So the categories that it talks or asks questions about are general information, what grade your child is in, their strengths and their interests, learning and support needs. There's also a set of questions about social emotional areas, home and community, health and well being, and also that important vision that you have, that your child has for themselves. So after all of those questions are answered, mm, then it will give you profiles. So let me show you what profile looks like. And I like it because you can it gives you some different versions here. So let's look. Like I said, this is an example. So it talks about a 6th grade student, what they like. In this example, the person likes PE. Some ideas for how they learn best, visuals, models, hands on kinds of activities, discussion work, supports that have worked. So those are in here. Socially, it talks about that they have a few close friends, they collaborate well. Outside of school, what they like to do, some information about their health, what your vision is. Now, this is the part that you'll get that is a bulleted profile. Um, because I think depending on how you're going to use this information, you want to have it in different formats. So that long narrative like that might be something that you read and it like really resonates and you like that. And that could be something that you use when you use an AI tool. So the tool really knows your child. If you're sharing this with teachers, you might want more of a bulleted format. So you also get that. And this just makes it, I think, a little bit easier for a lot of people to read. And it's got the different categories there. And Then there's the vision statement. And then what you get is a shorter summary. And you can use this summary text again in a few different ways. You could give the summary text to an AI tool and they would know more about your child. I would rather give the longer description to an AI tool. Yeah, but this can be used in a lot of different situations. But this is what my custom GPT looked like at the beginning. And that's when I had that aha moment that it was like, yeah, but this still, it's like, how do we take this rich information and how do we embed it into your child's IEP? So that's step two that AI helps us with. So let's go back over here. And, what I could do, why don't I do this? I'm going to copy all of this information and we're going to go back over here to chat. Okay, I'm going to talk to chat and I'm going to say, thank you. And I actually have a completed learning profile. So I'm going to paste the completed learning profile here. And I would like you to go to the next step where you help parents see how this information can be used in present levels for ideas for goals, accommodations, strategies, and such. Okay, so I gave it some direction. And now, since I copied that example profile, I'm just going to paste it in here. Because what I think is neat to see is like how fast I'm always impressed with the speed. And then, of course, always remember to say or to go back and edit this, right? And make sure that it's really accurate. This is the step where we go from profile to IEP. So, how do we use all that great language and ideas in the profile? So, what this GPT tool does is take that profile information and it says, this would be great to put in the IEP when they talk about like family input or student input. So it has like this condensed vision statement that you had given the tool earlier. And then it goes through the different domains like academics, different subject levels. So for math, for the teacher to know that he really can be more successful when he has those scaffolds. Using manipulatives will really be helpful. So it's nice because this is also breaking it down by subject. So the science teacher, you want to make sure they know that information. But everybody would probably want to know about executive function organization. Here's a part about sensory, social emotional. And then what it does is it goes into what I call big picture goal ideas. Um, because having a GPT tool or an AI tool that can write measurable, meaningful goals for your specific child is really a challenge. And unless you have the deep knowledge of writing IEP goals, you can get something from a tool and not recognize, no, that really isn't measurable or whatever. So we're going to leave measurable, meaningful goals for the whole team to look at and to do the wordsmithing. But what I wanted this tool to be able to do for you is you be able to identify these are some goal areas that I would like my child to work on this year. And so here we go back to the tool, and you can see that there's ideas here for math, confidence, and problem solving. And so I love it because it says using their strength and learning from models and hands on steps, involve the student in grade level problem solving with peers by previewing steps, using reference tools, and practicing one small piece before independent work. So you can tell, right? But that's not a measurable goal. And that's not the purpose. The purpose here is to give you that big picture. And the other purpose is to how can we tie strengths to goals? Okay. So if you have questions, let me know. So let's look back here. So it breaks it down for other academic areas like science reading, note taking. Here's executive function, independent kind of skills. And here again, using strengths, it says using checklists and self cues, support the student to start, stick with, and finish multi step and multi day assignments in general education by chunking tasks, setting mini deadlines. I like that. And using a quick rubric based self check before turning in work. So now we don't just have this is how my kid learns. We have let's get this written in the IEP. So the next section are examples of accommodations, and they're broken down to how a lot of IEP forms are. They'll say, what presentation accommodations do we need? So here's one pre-teach, preview, key vocabulary with visuals and just brief definitions. So each area for accommodations, if your child needs modifications, it will give you ideas for that. But for this student, it says no modifications recommended at this time. And then the last area that we talk about is instructional strategies. So it's now how does a teacher take all of this information and how do they actually use it as a classroom and put it into everyday practice? So this last section that you'll get when you use this custom GPT are the instructional strategies. So let's look at that. So it says the need is for the student to start multi-step work without getting stuck. So we know his strength is he learns by watching in short steps. The routine that he really does well with is when the teacher shows a finished sample, a think out loud for the first step. He completes a first tiny piece with a checklist. You have a quick check in, and then you fade support. It tells the teacher, when could you use this instructional strategy? What is the adult role? If there's a gen ed teacher in there, if there's a special ed teacher, are there any cues that the student can give themselves to get started and what you're going to be looking for? So don't you think this is gold? If you're watching live or on the replay, what do you think? I just love it. Love it. So then here we are at the end. It says, if you want, I can also convert this one page paste ready IEP insert so you can drop it directly into your document. And I usually don't do that. You can copy and paste. But again, you always want to edit You can't just like print this off and say, okay, I'm done. You want to go back and edit, not only to make sure it's accurate, but also to use words that you would use. And my other tip for you before we talk about how I like you to demo my chat GPT here, the other tip is I always say, how can this be improved? And I don't say improve this because then the tool will just magically make everything better. But I say, how can this be improved? Because then chat will walk through some of the steps of why this would be better. So you learn more that way. It's the teacher in me. Okay, so let's go back here. We got the whole thing. Now I'm going to say, how can this be improved? So you can see it's starting with present levels, make them tighter, more defensible. Right now, it reads well, but it will be stronger if each domain includes. Oh, huh. So, yeah, oops, add the missing PE gym noise in there. So, anyway, chat will go through here and tell you what would be helpful. And then it will give you suggestions. I can rewrite your present level sections using bullets. If you paste any data points you have, the chat would be able to read those in. And I'm just going to use a microphone. I'm going to click on the microphone and I'm going to say, please rewrite that, rewrite the report and use all of these suggested improvements. So then here we go. Yeah, I have to remember what I call it from profile to IEP. So here's an improved version. And of course, you're going to read through it and edit. But all of this, look at this language that can be used in IEPs. So it's really specific and it's really based on strengths too. So this is going to keep giving us more ideas. So let me know, what do you think of this? Yeah, this is going to, it'll take a while, but that's okay. So what I would love from you is if this intrigues you, if you've been using some AI tools like ChatGPT and you'd like to see how can they really be more helpful, this is a great tool to use because not only will you get this enhanced learning profile about who your child is as a person, who they are as a learner, and then that big second step that this tool helps you with is to take that profile of your child and connect the dots and embed that information in your IEP. And it takes you through, this is language you could put in the present level section. This is language you can use to develop goals. Here are ideas for accommodations or modifications if they're needed. And then the finale is that you'll also get descriptions of instructional strategies that are connected to your child and how they learn best. So it's like such a win win. I can see parents using this for homework help, right? I can see parents using this on virtual snow days and teachers using it too. So if you are interested, I'm going to have a small group of parents that I'll give you the link to the GPT, and you can look back here to the video for directions on using it and have you play with it, have you use it, and then give me feedback. Is there something that, you loved? Make sure we keep that. Is there something was, I don't know, Charmaine, I think this could be better. So who volunteers? I need volunteers. And I'll be putting something in my Facebook group also to see who would like to not demonstrate, who would like to use the new This Is Me 2.0. So until we see you again, which will be in a couple weeks, I hope that you are doing well, that your child is safe, happy, and learning every day at school. So I'm Charmaine Tanner, an advocate for inclusion and for your child, and we will see you again. Take care.